Hello, and welcome to Pathways Through the Prairie, where we interview North Dakota librarians and library staff, state agency leaders and employees, and interesting North Dakotans. I am your host, State Librarian Mary Soucie, and today I'm excited to be joined by my colleague, Emily Stenberg Brown. Emily is the Director of Vision Resources at the North Dakota Vision Services and School for the Blind. Emily, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Looking forward to getting to learn more about you and about your agency. So, what is the core mission and priorities of the North Dakota School for the Blind Vision Services? And I said that backwards.
That's okay. So the Vision Resource Center is basically the library at the School for the Blind. And really we're the place where people can go to obtain books and the resources they need. We also, part of the Vision Resource Center is also our Braille Access Center. So we produce Braille and large print materials as needed. We're also where the American Printing House for the Blind inventory is kept, and we oversee the funding for that for North Dakotans who qualify for receiving American Printing House for the Blind um, services. So it's really not just the library, but a larger service oriented.
Sure. So, Emily, the North Dakota State Library's vision is providing pathways to knowledge and opportunities. What was your pathway into public service?
Yeah, so I actually thought my pathway to the library was unique until I actually listened to a couple of your podcasts, and the first three out of the first four that I listened to all had a similar story of my as mine. So I grew up in Minnesota and went to college and was an English major. And did not want to be a teacher, and so I just got straight up English degree and realized as graduation approached that I had no idea what I was going to do. So I volunteered for a year with AmeriCorps, and I ended up teaching literacy skills in Head Start classrooms, kind of in the northern suburbs of the Twin Cities. And I loved it. I was shocked that I liked teaching. So I decided to look for a master's program where I could earn a teaching degree and also kind of still fulfill my love of books and literacy. So I found the information media program at St. Cloud State. And one of the tracks within that program is educational media. So you get a K-12 license to teach media in the media center, but you are not a classroom teacher. You're in the library. So yeah, I got my license first, and then I got my first real job in Little Falls, Minnesota, which is pretty much smack dab in the center of Minnesota. And I got to travel to all three of the elementary schools in that district for 5 years. But it was great. I loved it. Um, but I just kind of got tired of public education, public
Mm.
schools. They were also one of the first districts to go one-to-one with devices. And my job became more, and all the media specialists in the district, um, it was more tracking, those devices, and you were kind of like it was less focus on literacy. And I love technology. It's a huge part of my job right now as well. But it just kind of lost its luster, I guess, the job.
Sure.
I also wanted to move closer to family. And they're in northern Minnesota. That's where I grew up. So I just kind of put some feelers out, and someone told me about the library position opening at the School for the Blind. And the School for the Blind has always kind of been on my radar. The former superintendent there is a distant cousin of my mom's. So it's always kind of been known to us, but I never imagined ever working there. So I just thought I'd apply, and I got the job. And I was excited, to be doing something completely different. and I've loved it ever since. So I started working in Grand Forks, where our main building is. And about 5 years ago, I married someone from Minot, and that was, right after, right during and after COVID. And I said, I'm moving to Minot. This was kind of in the midst of COVID. And I was, I wanted to stay working for the School for the Blind, but I knew that that might not happen. And, during COVID, a lot of people started working at least part-time from home, and they said, we can make this work. So I was just thrilled about that. And, there was a lot of change, with moving and marriage and all that. So to keep my job was just awesome. So now I work remote. I work from Minot out of my home. All of our staff, most of the staff across the state, if they are not in Grand Forks, they work out of their homes. There's a few that work in offices, but during COVID, we got rid of a lot of those offices, and most just work from home. So yeah, for the last almost 5 years, I've worked from my home.
And so how do you manage the checkout of library books?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There is someone part-time in Grand Forks who does those duties, and she's awesome. When I first moved here, I was still doing much of the cataloging and things like that, and just either sending it back and forth, or I have to go back to Grand Forks occasionally for meetings and whatever. But now the librarian there loves doing things like that, and she's just really grown into that. So she takes care of most of that now, and my job has shifted as well, and it's brought new opportunities. And I miss a lot of those library duties, and I also miss being with my colleagues every day. But it's brought other opportunities for sure.
So what are some of the new duties?
Public awareness, a lot of focus on that. And that's been interesting. Sometimes I tell people the reason you've never heard of the School for the Blind is because I'm in charge of the public awareness of it. But so I do the newsletters and things like that, and then the Facebook page and some of the website updates and things like that.
Well, I think you do a great job with the Facebook page.
Great.
There's always interesting posts, and they're frequent enough that I think you do a really good job.
Thanks. Yeah, that's fun. That's a fun part. But I'm not a Facebook person, personally. So it's been a challenge to learn it, and to learn to love it, I guess is how I'll phrase that.
Sure.
Use it to our advantage. But yeah, I still oversee the library and things like that. But it's definitely a change. But we're a small staff, like your agency is. So I miss being with my colleagues, but we also, we have some meetings virtually and of course in person where we have to attend. So because it's a smaller staff, I feel like we still get to know each other quite well.
Sure. And I think in a post-COVID world, people are much better connecting with when they telecommute, because they didn't telecommute before, and now it's much more the norm. So we know a little better how to do it.
Yes. Yeah. And we've always had workers across the state, but there's more now. And I think we're better at understanding both people and how we can work more together and keep everyone up to date and, but be better communicators.
Mm-hmm. So originally you said you got an English degree and you weren't sure what you were going to do with it. So what led you to libraries? Just because you love literacy and books?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that year volunteering with AmeriCorps, I just loved it. I got to focus on literacy skills, and I've always loved children's books. So, that was a large part of it, working with those preschoolers. and getting them to love books. Um, and of course, working on those skills that go along with it. So yeah, I actually heard this kind of secondhand, like an old classmate um, told a friend of mine that when he heard that I was a librarian, he was like, "Oh yeah, of course, that makes sense." And but it never occurred to me,
Okay.
to like, I'm gonna be a librarian. Um, but here I am.
Not
And
uncommon in our profession.
yeah,
I know many more librarians who came to it as a second career than I do those like me who always said they were going to be a librarian at some point. So
sure.
you're in
Yeah.
very good company. Can you tell us a little bit about AmeriCorps?
Sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's a federal program, and basically it's mostly like post-college graduates. But I think you can do it at any age. There are programs like foster grandparent program at schools. That's an AmeriCorps program.
Okay.
Um, but it's most common when you're a young adult, and you spend a year living, wherever you can choose where you want to go. If you want to go somewhere far away from where you grew up, or if you want to stick close to home, as long as there are programs, you can serve wherever in America. Um, the national or the world program would be Peace Corps.
Hmm.
Um, so I have two sisters, and they both volunteered overseas. One in Guyana in South America, and one in Africa in Namibia. Um, and I chose to. I always, tell people about those two women who've done amazing things and went overseas. And I went to Anoka County in Minnesota. Not quite so exotic. But it was for, all three of us had life-changing experiences and kind of set us on our paths. Um, so yeah, AmeriCorps, they give you a stipend to live off of, and then you also get an award, an educational award at the end, and you can use to pay for more schooling or pay off loans, however you
Oh,
want
wow.
to do that. I will say I don't know the status of funding currently.
Sure.
I know it's been, there's been rumors and things about less funding, but
Hmm.
hopefully it will still continue to be funded because it is a great program for those communities that get the volunteers, and then also for the
Hmm.
individuals serving.
Sure. And do you do any volunteer work now?
Kind of. It goes along with my job in a way, or I got involved with it because of my job. Um, Through the North Dakota Association of the Blind. I am the editor of their newsletter,
Okay.
um, and just help. I was on like their conference planning committee last year and
Sure.
things like that.
Okay.
Um, and we they have a book club, and I used to help host it, um, but now I only do that about once a year. So they've
Okay.
like their core group has started hosting it instead. But I'm hosting it again next week, so that'll be fun.
Oh, fun, fun. And what do you find most rewarding about being a librarian?
I would say getting people the resources that they need. And when I worked in an elementary school, that was just the book they were excited about for that week. But now it's maybe a textbook. Maybe it's a website. Maybe it's connecting them with the State Library and the Talking Book program. We don't necessarily know. This is true for all librarians. What someone is actually looking for until they come to us, and it can run the gamut. From an actual book to something digital, or just an answer to a question. So yeah, I would say just being able to help someone get
Hmm.
the information that they need.
What do you think people would be surprised to learn about your agency?
That we exist in a lot of ways. And probably our structure. People don't hear about us until they need us. unfortunately, or they don't pay attention to us until they need us. Um, they might know or have heard there's a school for the blind in North Dakota. But until they know someone who's experiencing vision loss or until they themselves need our services, they're not going to, know our ins and outs or what we offer or that we're free or, all of our services, we can come to you. Um, you know, that I think that is probably most surprising to people, what all that we can do to help.
Mm-hmm. What do you think people would be surprised to learn about your library at your agency?
Good question. Probably again, just the range of things that we offer. We have a small book collection, um, large print braille. We have, some DVDs that of course have audio description, but most DVDs nowadays do. We have some audiobooks, but we also have 3D models and tactile graphics and, other things you might not find in a typical library.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is an opportunity or a crucial area of growth for North Dakota Vision Services School for the Blind? And specifically for the library, if you want to address it that way, or,
Sure.
from a public awareness perspective.
I would say technology. It's a huge growth area in everywhere, and in our agency as a whole, it is because technology it changes, how people are receiving information, how people access the world. Um, People with vision loss, that's how they rely on technology
Mm-hmm.
every day. To help them live independent lives. Um, and in the library, I would say um, a little more specific about with technology is like um, digital resources. You know, physical braille, you can probably imagine, is very expensive and it takes up a lot of room. People don't want to, a sixth grader doesn't want to carry a braille textbook in their backpack. They can't. It's too large. But they can carry a device where they can read digital braille. And those, we've had those for, a decade or two, but it's changing still by becoming, you know, multi-line braille. So right now there are a lot of braille options where you can just read one line at a time. But something that's new is like multi-line braille. So it's more of a screen where braille pops up and you can read and refresh, and it's just a lot faster. And that's where technology is headed. So trying to be able to access those and get those resources out to people to get them to know about them and also to feel comfortable using them.
Mm-hmm.
And then for them to be affordable as well.
Right. Yeah, because that technology is not. And so if we have a listener who's never experienced Braille before, it's a series of dots that make up letters, and then the letters make up words the same way that we read words with our eyes. Someone who has vision reads the words with their fingers, over the Braille letters. How does that work for digital Braille, though?
Yeah, so it's basically, on a device, and you can think of it like as a small keyboard, I guess, not a full laptop, but kind of like a keyboard. The keys aren't there, of course, but the Braille keyboard is there, so six dots or six keys, and then there's like a little screen where dots pop up.
Okay.
And like I said, there are a few options where it's just one line that you can read, and it just constantly refreshes, as you are reading the Braille. But now they're coming out with like multi-line Braille,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a little larger of a screen where the dots, just continuously pop up and refresh as you read. So yeah, Google it. It's hard
Right.
to describe. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think I have a sort of a vision of what it's like, and technology is amazing. I know we have a lot of fear sometimes of technology. Specifically, we hear a lot about AI and, some of the downsides or the minuses of AI, but really, for someone with alternative needs or special needs or whatever terminology you want to use, technology can be a game
Oh
changer.
yeah, for sure.
And especially if someone loses their sight young, it can be hard to get them to learn Braille. And I think digital Braille readers will make that an easier transition.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and honestly, if they want to be employed, you know, as an adult, it's a necessary part of their education. Yeah, yeah, to be able to access
What
digitally.
are the age ranges you support?
Birth to death.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The entire agency, of course. Yeah,
Hmm.
birth to death we serve. So yeah, we have outreach teachers across the state who serve who go to those babies' homes, and we have adult providers who see, people in their 80s and 90s. We've had 90-year-olds come to our building in Grand Forks for short-term programs to learn new skills. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of fun in that way.
Hmm. Where can our listeners find out more information about North Dakota Vision Services School for the Blind?
Our website's probably the best place, and that is ndvisionservices.com.
Okay.
You can, you know, just check out our website. You can also call if you need services or if you know someone and just want to find out, more about how we can serve you. You can call our main line, and that's 701-795-2700.
Great. Thank you for that information. Is there any final message or any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners about your agency or about state government in general?
I would say just to reach out if and when you need us, or if you just want to learn more about us. You know, people, you brought up Braille earlier. All kids love to learn about different ways of learning. Maybe you just are interested in learning more about Braille or learning more about technology. We can help you, you know, access that information too. So because we know that, if someone's just learning Braille for fun, they might spread the word about it and reach someone who really does need it
Sure.
to be successful. Um, so yeah, just reach out if you have questions about what we can do or how we can serve you.
Awesome. Emily, thank you so much. I always like to end the podcast by asking for a book recommendation. I never ask a librarian, or I try not to ask a librarian to name their favorite book. It would be like asking my mom to name her favorite child, who, of course, would be named Mary. But what's a book that you've read that you really enjoy sharing with people?
I would say The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. He wrote The Midnight Library. I think a lot of librarians have probably read that book, but this is a more recent one by him. He he just has a different style of writing, which is one reason I really like his books. And it's it's kind of vulnerable. I'll say um, all of his books. So um, yeah, Matt Haig is the author.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Emily. I learned a lot about your agency and about your journey as well, and it was really fun to talk to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today to learn more about Emily and about North Dakota Vision Services School for the Blind. I look forward to you joining us on a future episode of Pathways Through the Prairie.